This Valentine's Day, celebrate the one you love the most with Hallmark cards at Walgreens. Valentine's Day is the best time to send your favorite person a reminder of just how much they mean to you. A Hallmark card is a super simple and beautiful way to say how grateful you are for the love you two share. Don't forget, Valentine's Day is Saturday, February 14th. Visit Walgreens today to find a Hallmark card that shows just how much you love them. Because love lives here.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to Kilowatt, a podcast about electric vehicles, renewable energy, autonomous driving, and much, much more. My name is Bodie, and I am your host. And on today's episode, we are going to talk about news. We got, a couple quick news stories here to discuss. I hope everybody's having a good week. It is Wednesday. I had a extraordinarily busy Tuesday as well as a Wednesday, and so hopefully you'll forgive me for being a day late. Had a family member who had to go to the hospital. They're okay, but I'm not home. I'm not home. I'm not in Alaska where my family is. Not my normal family, like my wife and kids are all here with me. But so yeah, there's just some things back and forth, and it's been busy. So, again, everybody's okay. No need to write in and be like, hey, condolences or anything like that. And everybody's cool. It was just, that was my priority. So, okay. Let's talk. Today we're going to talk some EV news. And then I have a interview from CES. And I talked to Jaron from Van True, which they do dash cams, and they actually have a thermal imaging dash cam, which I think is interesting. So let's start off with our EV news. Hyundai is pausing production on the Kona EV for 2026. Now, this is not a death nail for the Kona EV. I know a lot of folks out there like it. The issue has to do with they made way too many 2025 Kona EVs and nobody bought them, or very few people bought them. They made too many. They didn't sell enough of them. So they have an adequate stock, according to a Hyundai spokesperson. And so they'll sell through that stock and then they'll start production probably in 2027 if I had to if I had to guess, right? But hopefully when the Kona EV comes back, it's going to come back a little bit refreshed. Maybe we'll see something new with that car. So that is our news on the Kona EV. This next story is a little update on Donut Labs and Verge motorcycles. I know we bring this up. I'm fascinated by this. I'm skeptical, but excited for what Donut and Verge say they've accomplished. But obviously, if you haven't heard, Verge Motorcycles and Donut Labs made a splash at CES because of their amazing and almost unbelievable solid state battery technology that they say they have. So Inside EVs is reporting that the Verge motorcycles, which is the TS Pro, is the launch vehicle that was supposed to come with this solid state battery, was expected to start deliveries at the end of March, so the first quarter of 2026. And then Tuomo, hold on, I gotta find Tuomo's name. Ledamaki, he was given an interview and he said that these motorcycles would come out at the end of 2026. So is this a case where we have slipped a deadline already? We're about a month away from them announcing at CES, or a month away from. So they did it a previous, 30 days ago. Are we starting to see that timeline slip? Well, Inside EVs wrote the article, and then Tuomo Ledamaki, who is the CEO of Verge Motorcycles and my own personal buddy, hangout buddy at CES, and I'm saying that sarcastically, I got that chance to talk to him for about 20 minutes while I was waiting to interview the actual person. And I can say Tuomo is a delightful hang. I really enjoyed. I didn't even know he was the CEO until very late into the conversation. So anyway, Inside EVs was one of the probably many outlets that reported on this delay. And Tuomo actually got back to them and he gave them an update. And so here it goes. The initial wave of orders for the TS Pro, which were received in 2025, those ones should be delivered by the end of March 31st. If you ordered a TS Pro now, what is today, February 4th, you should expect to receive your order sometime at the end of Q4 2024 or 2026, Q4 2026, and maybe into 2027, depending on where you are in the queue. So really what he was saying, because he'd given an interview, and I don't think he misspoke, but what he said was taken out of context, or possibly he didn't provide the context that he needed to make there the correct connection. So he clarified. Verge Motorcycles is also working through the certification process so that they can sell the TS Pro in the United States and the EU because they have to meet certain safety standards. So they're working through that process as well. Now, does this mean that, because they're saying they're going to meet their goal of delivering these vehicles before the end of Q1 2026, which would be March 31st, does this mean that Donut Labs' solid state battery is real? No. Does it mean it's fake? No. What does it mean? It means we don't know anything more than we knew before, to be honest with you, other than Verge Motorcycles started taking pre-orders for the TS Pro in 2025 before they announced the solid state battery. Now, this makes me think, right, that those pre-orders were mostly, if not all, investors, employees, or friends and family of the company, right? I'm guessing the majority of those pre-orders are going to those people, either employees, investors, or people who are very close to the company in some way, shape, or form. And there's 3 different companies that are kind of owned. They're not the same company, but the same families involved in it. One is like a defense contractor type company. The other is Donut Labs, and then Verge Motorcycles. So there's a lot of people working at those companies, and they probably, got an opportunity to order this bike. I don't know how many regular people got an opportunity is what I'm saying. It could be a lot. So let's pretend that you are one of these lucky folks who's going to get an early version of this bike because of the claims made by Donut Labs and Verge Motorcycle. You are going to get somebody who's going to approach you and say, hey, how would you like a massive sum of money for this motorcycle? And, some people might say yes. I would imagine that if you worked for the company or were somehow affiliated with any of the 3 companies, that would be maybe something you had to sign that you wouldn't sell it under, penalties if you did sell it within a certain time period. But yeah, if you're just a normal person and you got a bike early on, you could easily probably buy that bike cash, like pay for that bike cash, and then buy another one and still have a little bit of money left over, I'm guessing. All right. So one final story in this section here. Auto dealers are suing Scout Motors. So Scout Motors sits underneath the Volkswagen Group. Auto dealers are saying that because Scout Motors is not specifically an EV company, and we'll get into that in a second, and they're not a startup, they are technically a startup within Volkswagen Group, but they have all of the money and resources that Volkswagen Group has available, right? To kind of help keep it afloat, right? It's not Rivian. It's, a company backed by multiples of billions of dollars, and Rivian is, backed by billions of dollars, not as much as Volkswagen Group. So the dealers are saying that Scout Motors is violating franchise laws in many states. Now, these franchise laws were developed back in the day to keep automotive companies from kind of owning the whole customer experience. I guess it was to keep things fair. They said, what, the government said you have to have dealers to kind of add some separation from automotive manufacturers. And that's worked pretty well for the most part. There are plenty of shady automotive dealers out there, or have been in the past. I'm not saying any are now. But those franchise laws exist because of that, right? It's to kind of create a little bit of a separation. And it ends up working out because the automotive manufacturers are able to use those dealers in their mechanic shops to do warranty repairs and sell parts and all that stuff. So there's a benefit both ways. There has been a little carve out, not always, right? There's been fighting over the years, but there's a little carve out for like EV startups, like pure electric vehicle startups. They've been able to gain the right to sell directly to customers in most, if not all, states at this point. I don't know if Texas you can still sell directly to customers or not. When Elon decided to move Tesla there for headquarters purposes, you couldn't buy directly from Tesla. You probably can now, if I had to guess, right? There's probably enough money being flowing in and out of that state, where maybe some lawmakers had a change of heart on that. But anyway, dealers are saying because some Scout vehicles, come with a gas generator and they're backed by a big automotive company or automotive group, that they should not be able to have those little carve-outs, that little exception. They need to follow the franchise laws that exist in, not every single state has the same laws, but they say that this would be illegal or violate franchise laws in many states. One thing I found interesting is because Scout Motors does have that gas generator, and I guess that's something that dealers are trying to use that to justify their case. It's a generator that powers the electric. It charges the battery, and the battery powers the car, right? It's not the same as a gasoline motor, because the gasoline motor is what's actually powering the wheels. So that's not the same in this case. There's still technically an electric vehicle. They just have a gasoline generator. So we'll see where this goes, and we'll, do they have a case? I have no idea. But we'll definitely kind of keep an eye on it for sure. What I found interesting from this article and some others that I read is that more than 85% of the reservation holders for the Terra and the Traveler is the SUV, the Terra is the pickup truck, they opted for the extended range version of that vehicle, which is the one that has the generator. Originally, the company thought that there would be a 60-40 split, like 60% of people would want the e-Rev and 40% would want the pure EV version. But no, it's 85% want that e-Rev, which I think is really interesting. And other auto companies should, pay attention to how, these Scout vehicles sell, and how many people actually follow through with the reservation. So we're definitely going to keep an eye on this part of it. I do have some additional news regarding Scout Motors. Inside EVs is reporting that Scout Motors is over budget on their South Carolina EV factory by $1 billion. The factory is now expected to cost $3 billion, which is a 50% increase from their original budget of $2 billion, excuse me, not million, $billion. Some of that increase includes a $300 million expansion that Scout will use as a supplier park. And they're saying that by having their suppliers close, this is going to help with, getting parts in on time. Just having the suppliers on site is a benefit for them. So that's what 30% of that $1 billion. They didn't go into detail what the other 70% was for, but I'm guessing as I'm doing some home repairs to my house. I'm not doing it. I'm paying people to do it. My wife and I are paying people to do it. And things are expensive. Our budget had to jump a little bit based on the realities of the world we live in, which I'm going to be honest, it sucks. And I'll give you an idea. Like when I bought my house in 2018, a can of Dunn Edwards paint, a gallon, was about $45 to $50. I just bought a gallon of paint to do some just kind of touch-up stuff around the house. And it cost me over $75 for the same can of paint I've been buying for 40 something bucks. Like it's a lot. It's a lot of money. So yeah. Anyway, I would imagine that Scout is experiencing that same pain at a smaller scale than I'm experiencing it, because I'm experiencing it in a really big way. They're probably experiencing it at a smaller scale. Of course, I'm joking.
This Valentine's Day, celebrate the one you love the most with Hallmark cards at Walgreens. Valentine's Day is the best time to send your favorite person a reminder of just how much they mean to you. A Hallmark card is a super simple and beautiful way to say how grateful you are for the love you two share. Don't forget, Valentine's Day is Saturday, February 14th. Visit Walgreens today to find a Hallmark card that shows just how much you love them. Because love lives here.
All right, so we are cruising through this news. Let's go ahead and jump into our Tesla news. Starting off, Tesla has announced a new Model Y configuration. They just announced a new Model Y configuration a couple of weeks ago. That was a rear-wheel drive version that started at $39,000, basically $40,000. Now there's one up from that. It's a Model Y all-wheel drive version, which used to be called the Standard for a very short amount of time, and then Tesla is now just calling it the Model Y. And then you have the Premium and the Performance. So you have a Model Y rear-wheel drive, Model Y all-wheel drive, Model Y Premium rear-wheel drive, Model Y Premium all-wheel drive, and the Performance, which is all-wheel drive or dual motor, whatever you want to call it. Which there's 5 configurations for that car, and they start at $40,000 and they go all the way up to $58,000. Now that might be something that is interesting, right? That might be beneficial to Tesla, but there's not much of a price difference between the all-wheel drive version and the rear-wheel drive version. There is a little bit of difference in terms of specs. So this is the old Standard, so it's a very basic trim. There's no glass roof and some of the other fancy features that you would find in the premium version of the Model Y. 394 miles of range. The front of this car looks more like a new Model 3 than it does a Model Y, just because of the way the headlights sit. 0 to 60 in 4.6 seconds. I'm not sure if I said this. 294 miles of range. And I wrote it down twice, so I must have been like, this is really important. All for $42,000, which I don't know if this is a good idea or a mistake. In my heart, I think more options are better for the consumer. I don't know if it's better or not for Tesla to have more options, because they made a big deal about, like, way back in the day, you could really configure a Model S or a Model X. There's a lot of options. And then Elon was like, you know what, we are spending way too much money on this because more options means more money. You have to have more parts around, all the same, all that stuff. And for some reason tonight, I'm really stuttering and slurring my words. I'm struggling a little bit. And I think it's because I'm tired. Anyway, I'm not sure if this is a genius idea or not. I love that there's more options for people. And I think Tesla can, kind of bear the weight of having more options. Whereas back when the Model S and Model X were the only two models that they were selling, they weren't in a financial position to be able to do that. So, I mean, hopefully they'll continue doing this. Tesla's Tesla's been known to release a model or a version of a model, a trim, and then within 3 weeks, no longer selling that model. So we'll kind of keep an eye on it. We'll see how long they have 5 trims of the Model Y. All right. Good news for Tesla. Way back in 2020, Tesla held its battery day. And if you remember, all of the attendees, because this was also a shareholder meeting as well. So the battery day came first or second, I can't remember. And then the shareholder meeting. All the attendees were sitting in their cars because it was in the beginning of the pandemic. Tesla announced the 4680 battery cells, and they said that these new battery cells would use a dry electrode process. Now, I want to be clear here. A dry electrode process means that the anode and cathode are developed using a dry process. This is not a dry electrolyte, which would be a solid state battery. The electrolyte is still liquid or gel, just like it is in any other battery. It's the anode and the cathode are developed using a dry process. And for a long time, I can't remember which side it was, the anode or the cathode, the positive or the negative, right? I can't remember which side of the battery it was that they were having a hard time with, but it looks like they have solved that problem. And then according to Tesla, they posted on X, the advantage is the dry electrode manufacturing cuts cost, energy use, and factory complexity while dramatically increasing scalability. So it sounds like this is a huge benefit to Tesla and any other company out there that wants to borrow this technology or develop it on their own. So congrats. That's cool. I think that's awesome. All right, this is our final story, and it's not really a Tesla story. I mean, it kind of is. It involves Tesla, but also involves a bunch of other companies. But when you look, when you read the articles, like all of the pictures feature a Tesla Model Y or a Tesla Model 3. So China is prohibiting hidden door handles on EVs starting in 2027. And by hidden door handles, they're talking about any door handle that's kind of flat against the car, that it's not readily, that's not readily apparent on how to use it, right? Now they are prohibiting these vehicles starting in 2027, but if vehicles have already submitted designs and been approved by the government, they have a little bit of extra time to make those changes. So there's a little bit of leeway, which I think is a good thing. But if you think about it, I think the Polestar 2 definitely has this. The Model Y, the Model 3, the Mustang Mach-E has their push-button door handles. Actually, just let me kind of read from the article here. I'm reading directly from the article. Under the new rules, exterior door handles must remain operable even in scenarios involving irreversible restraint system failures or thermal runaway incidents in the battery pack. Doors must be capable of opening even if the vehicle loses power. Interior doors must include at least one independent mechanical release handle per door as well. These powered doors are, I guess, neat, but I would much rather have a mechanical door release than, for sure, 100%. So it'll be interesting to see how companies kind of change the design to still make the cars look cool, but also to abide by this rule. So we'll keep an eye on it. But like I said, I do want to just point out, because when you look online, it looks like China is banning Tesla from using its door handles. It's not. It's any company that kind of has that flat, hidden door handle type design. So, yeah. All right. So that is our news. That's all of our news for this episode. Next up, we're going to hear an interview. I spoke with Jiren at CES, and he walked me through Vantrue's new dash cams. And some of these dash cams have like a thermal camera on them, and we'll talk about the advantages of what a thermal camera means in your car.
This Valentine's Day, celebrate the one you love the most with Hallmark cards at Walgreens. Valentine's Day is the best time to send your favorite person a reminder of just how much they mean to you. A Hallmark card is a super simple and beautiful way to say how grateful you are for the love you two share. Don't forget, Valentine's Day is Saturday, February 14th. Visit Walgreens today to find a Hallmark card that shows just how much you love them. Because love lives here.
So let's get right to the interview. All right, I am here with Jiren from Vantrue. Jiren, what are we displaying today?
We're showing off the Pilot 2, which is the world's first smart 4-channel thermal dash cam.
Okay, what does 4-channel mean?
So it has a front view, a cabin view, a rear view, and then the thermal capture as well, which applies to the front of the car externally.
So is that all through one camera setup, or are we putting cameras around the car?
You're putting them around the car. So the front and the cabin cameras are a single unit that mount in the same spot. The rear camera is a separate unit, a little bit smaller. And then the thermal camera is also a separate unit. It also comes with a heads-up display that goes into your dashboard that actually shows you the thermal feed and gives you notifications.
Okay, so I feel like I know the answer to this, but I want to make sure. Why would we want the thermal cameras?
Sure. Low light visibility, so all weather conditions. So for professional commercial drivers, that's an obvious use case for this, right? Because they're driving at all hours, they're driving all across the country. You need to make sure that you can see and have some sort of protection for, let's say, a deer runs across the road and it's low light, right? This will give you an opportunity to react quicker to those types of obstacles in really dark or poor weather conditions. So improved safety for that type of use case.
So are you going to get an alert? Is this something like, for instance, we're traveling down the road, there's a deer off, 20 or 30 feet off the road or whatever, but the camera can pick that up. It's picking up the heat signature. Yep. Is that something that you're going to get alerted to right away?
Yes, it has an early alert system, and it'll actually ping you with an audio signal to let you know. And then, of course, you have that display mounted on your dashboard as well, so you can see it all in real time, too.
And then it's a dash cam. Yep. Or what are we talking about for recording?
So it has a 1 terabyte capacity, up to 1 terabyte internal storage. Vantrue makes their own SD cards, which are heat resistant as well. So they run all the time. It's good to have that performance. You can use other SD cards, but they recommend theirs. Up to 1 terabyte. Also, there's an LTE module you can get with some of their stuff, and you can view stuff on an app on the phone as well remotely. It also has like a parking mode too. So if you're away from your car, you get hit, it is able to capture like the 10 seconds surrounding that event and upload that.
So it detects the impact.
Yeah, there's a couple different options. You can actually configure it. There's an impact detection, which actually detects that, or there's, I believe, a motion detection as well. I think there's a third option to it.
All right, so what if we're driving down the road and someone's just driving like a bozo?
Uh-huh.
Can we easily capture that, or is it something where you have to like click on the screen, or can we do that by voice?
Well, it just depends on the circumstances, right? So they have something called plate picks technology, for instance. So if you're in a regular driving situation and there's somebody ahead or behind and they're driving kind of weird and you want to capture their license plate, maybe they cause an accident or a danger, they're actually the best in the market for capturing license plates clearly. And it runs together with HDR in order to really magnify and emphasize that But no, it's not a manually configure it type of a thing. It's, in this case, the Pilot 2 uses 2K optical lenses, but they have other dash cams that use 4K lenses. So really high capture quality and not something that you have to kind of manually go and configure. It's you place it around your car and it does the work for you.
And how easy is the install?
Well, if you're brand new to dash cams and you've never done it before, there's a little bit of a learning curve, but it's not too bad. It's a fairly easy install.
Are we just talking about like plugging it into the cigarette lighter? Well, we're not calling that a cigarette lighter anymore.
But they do
auxiliary
have that
port.
They have that option. There's also hardwiring it to the battery if you want like the parking mode and the full functionality. That's what's going to allow it to run all the time. And if you do that, it has a smart sensor that's able to detect the level of the battery. So if it starts to get too low, it'll shut the camera off. So there's no risk of killing your battery that way.
Oh, perfect. What are we looking at to start? What was the price range?
Well, for the Pilot 2, it's going to be between $450 or $500, and that'll go live on Kickstarter within the next couple of days and start shipping hopefully around March timeframe. But for their other products, they've got stuff around the $200 range. It kind of runs from like $200 to $600, generally speaking.
Is there a subscription that goes with this?
No.
No subscription?
No.
All right, and everything's stored locally?
Yes.
And then what if there's an LTE?
There is an LTE module, which is backwards compatible with a lot of their different models.
And there's no subscription for the LTE module?
No, not at this time. No.
Okay. And then, man, I had one more question, but it's escaping me at the moment. I know it's probably important. That's all I got.
That's all right.
Oh, hey, yes, it's very important. How would people find you if they wanted to look more into what Van True is doing?
Absolutely. You can go to vantrue.net, vantrue.net. Also, their products are available on Amazon as well.
All right, and that's VANTRUE.
That's right.
Truly driven.
Truly driven, yeah.
All right. Thanks, buddy.
My pleasure. Thank you.
Appreciate it.
All right. I want to thank Jaron for spending a little bit of time with me and walking us through what Van True is up to. You can go to vantrue.com and look and see what they're doing. And, he mentioned they have a Kickstarter. Let's look and see what Kickstarter has for Van True. Maybe it's already over with. Terrible podcaster. No, it's still on there. Let's see. World's first 4-channel thermal camera. Let's see how much they've raised. Zero backed. Oh, it hasn't launched yet. So if you go to Kickstarter and you type in Van True, VANTRUE, you can, if you're interested in this kind of thing, you can get a notification when they launch. So, all right, everybody, that is it for me. If you want to email me, you can do so, Bodie, BODIE at 918digital.com. You can also find me on X at 918digital. However, I don't really do much on X anymore. It's not a political thing. I just don't enjoy being over there anymore. And it genuinely, I go and I check things out every now and again, but I don't spend a lot of time on X. I don't hate it. It's just for whatever reason, it doesn't meet my needs right now. I do, however, spend quite a bit of time on LinkedIn. So if you want to follow me on LinkedIn, it's Bodie, BODIE, Grimm, GRIMM. And yeah, that is, you can go to our website, 918digital.com. And if you want to see what other cool networked shows are on Believe, if you're a sports fan, you're going to be interested. There's also some car shows on there as well. It's BLEAV.com. I don't think I have to promote the podcast network, but if you want to see what that looks like, I would highly encourage you to go check it out. All right, folks, thank you so much for listening to the show. Thanks you all for being patient. Speaking of Believe, it looks like, the transition was a success. I know some people had some little issues here and there, but it looks like everything's coming through now. When I look at the download numbers, they look correct so for this time of year, which are usually down a little bit. And then we start gaining more listeners in the months after January, and then we'll see a little dip in the summertime, and then everybody will come back from vacation. So yeah. All right, everybody. Thank you so much for listening to the show, and I will talk to you on Friday.